Hi, thank you for joining me today, and this is another Using My Scraps video, and today I'm documenting a picture of us at one of Ross's colleagues' 50th birthday party at her house. This was in March and Amelia came with us. James stayed at home this time, and it was just a beautiful group shot. Not pleased with the picture of me, but I never am. But everybody else looks gorgeous in it and so happy, and it really was a lovely evening, so I just wanted to document that. So I've trimmed the photo down ever so, actually I haven't yet, but I'm going to trim the photo down ever so slightly. It's a 4x6, but I will trim the sides off just a little bit, just to make it not quite 6 inches wide. And I'm coming in with some Vicky Boutin texture paste to merge the two, the cardstock, background cardstock, and the paper that I've chosen to add down the left hand side of the page. It's just an old Pink Fresh studio paper with grey florals on white, and I'm definitely going for black, gold and white on this layout. I adore that combination, and if you look at the photo you can see that that's what Nikki went for in her decorations in her house. It's very contemporary, very stylish house, so I thought that this would work really nicely with it. So I'm just smearing the texture paste on. You can see I've got a big blob down the left hand side, like I say, to cover that seam where the papers meet, and then I've pulled it out to the right hand side to see beyond the photo. So this is where I'm just trimming that photo down. I have a couple of attempts at it before I'm happy, just trimming a little bit more of my arm and then there we have it. So I'm going to map this onto some white cardstock, and then I've also pulled out a scrap of black. It's tone on tone. You can barely tell that it's tone on tone, but it just adds a little bit of something rather than using a very black cardstock. So there's the photo with the white card. I've also pulled out some of these film strip pieces from Gardenia, 49 Market Spectrum Gardenia. Cut the white piece in half so that I can extend it behind that photo. And then I'm going to use one of these simple Vintage Essentials papers from Simple Stories. I love this paper. It's got all the different tape measures on it, and it's in my scraps because I don't have a lot of that collection. So I'm just cutting a couple of those tape measures to use as elements behind those film strips on the page. So I'm just deciding which one I want to trim down. I end up trimming the white one down slightly. I didn't want them both to be 12 inches, so just cut a couple of inches off that one and then tuck that underneath. So I didn't want to add too much behind the photo because I really want that texture paste to shine and show through. And I have a habit of creating mixed media and then covering it all up. So I'm just being very careful not to add too much. So I used my glass mat there to make sure that this was straight, and then I'm adding the white piece as well. The glue doesn't need to go all the way along, so I'm just adding dots all the way down. I seem to be getting through my ATG rather quickly, so I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful of what I'm doing when I stick things down. So there's that paper I was talking about. Again, I think it's a Simple Stories paper, and it's just black tone on tone, but it's better than using a totally black card. Also using a bit of my scraps as well, of course, which is the purpose of these videos. And there we go, just providing a nice border around that photo, and then of course I'm going to distress the edges. It does have a gorgeous beige gingham on the back, which is a little bit sad to use, but we can't hoard everything, can we? So again, from the Simple Stories Simple Vintage Essentials, I've got the foam stickers here, and I just found this one that says Fabulous. It was Nikki's 50th birthday, so at first I was thinking I was going to write Fabulous at 50, but you'll see I do change that in a bit. So just gluing these film strips down, just so that I've got the base of the page, and then I can start embellishing without worrying about everything else. So just making sure that they're lined up using those ruler pieces that I've already added to the background, and then adding that other film strip there. And I've found that wet glue is definitely the best way to go with these film strips. Just a dot of Nuvo and that will hold it in place nicely. So here's that title. It's going to overlap the photo ever so slightly and hang off to the left of the photo. So just getting the photo situated, and then I can add that. and I still haven't learnt my lesson. These foam stickers are incredibly sticky, particularly on photos. So once it touches the photo, you've not really got much chance of moving it. So I just was able to manipulate it so that it was straight across the page, but it is where it is. So in that same collection, I've got this sticker book, and you can see I'm writing at 50 underneath, but then I remember I've got the gorgeous ampersand dies from Hey Little Magpie, the new dies that we've created, and I really wanted to use one of those in black, so I changed the at to an ampersand, so it says fabulous and 50. So there's the black ampersand, just cut from some scrap black cardstock there. I'm just pulling up the at, and I move that 50 across. So I do put those letters back in my sticker book. They were still fine to be used another day. I may have to add some more glue, but other than that, they'll be absolutely fine to use again. So here I am just moving that 50 across, and I'm going to add my journaling around there, so I'm not too worried about it, the shape looking slightly odd of the layout at the moment. I'm also thinking about what to do in the background because the white is extremely white, so I will add some mixed media to that in due course. Now, before I started this layout, I did have a quick look through my stash and found this sticker that says cheers, and I thought that worked really nicely with the golds on the page, so I'm just going to add that to the top there before I add more bits around it. Of course, a tab from my EK Success tab punch is going to be added at the top, and that's where I'll add my date. And then this piece, I'm just thinking of adding a little tag, but when I add it to the side of the photo, it's just covering up too much of that mixed media, and I really like the shape that creates. So in the end, I do add it to the top of the page behind that cheers sticker and behind this tab. And it works beautifully up there. It just creates a really nice shape. So I'm just trimming it down because I don't need that much. And then I'll pop a hole in the top and add some wax twine. Now the black wax twine that I'm going to use in a minute is in fact from some clothing I bought recently. I had a gorgeous wax twine on it, so I kept those pieces to one side. I knew I'd use them on my layout. So here it is, and it's a bit thicker than the twine that I would normally use, but it works really nicely. So just adding that to the tag, and then I shall tuck that in, and then I'm going to tuck the strands underneath the film strips just to keep those in place. So here's another tab that I die cut using the tabs and tags die cut set from Hey Little Magpie, another new set that we've got in. And I just spent an evening just die cutting some bits and pieces, and that's where that's from. Well, it's really nicely layered up with that Eco Success tab. Now this is what I was saying about the background. I decided to grab this, it's just a background stamp from All and Create, and my black soot ink, and I'm using 3rd, 4th and 5th generation stamping on the background. I haven't added it to a block because I just wanted to use sections of the stamp and have faded edges rather than strong edges. So you can see I've got a piece of cardstock at the bottom there that I'm just stamping off onto, and then adding the rest of the stamping to the page. And you can see I just keep going because that black soot really is quite strong, so it does keep giving. And I just want a faint ghost image, if you like, on the background. So just adding that in, and I love this stamp because it's got little hearts and a bit of text, so it just works really nicely as a background. So adding the date to the top tab, as I always do, just stamping it on some scrap white card, trimming it down, and then I'll add it to that black tab. Tabs and tags, I always get confused. There we go. And then here's my journaling. As I say, it's just going around that title there. So I just put, we had such a wonderful evening at Nikki's celebrating her 50th and Carl's 18th at her house in Winwick, and even walked home. And then I'm just going to do some more ghost stamping with the roller date stamp, just what was left on it, to complete that diagonal shape I've got going from the underneath the photo on the right hand side down. Now this is just some gold watercolour paint. I'm just adding some splatters around just to finish off the background. And then when that's done, I'm going to come in with some epoxy and, well, it's not epoxy, they're enamel dots in black hearts, and these crystals that I've got in my stash. And just adding a couple of these black hearts. I do move that one, and I move that one actually. Takes me a little while to work out where to put them, but I get there in the end. I just didn't like that overlapping the photo like that. And that's it. Here are the close-ups. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Bye.